guys, it's Megan, and in today's video, I'll be showing you how to start an art journal and a few prompts to help you get started. But before we jump into it, I'd like to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people. They have classes on all sorts of topics, like illustration, graphic design, photography, animation, and more. Skillshare classes are a great way to keep yourself occupied during your free time. It's less than $10 per month with an annual subscription. I just took a class called Drawing as Self-Discovery, 5 Ways to Start by Marie Andrew. This class discusses using art to express your emotions, and she gives a few different suggestions for ways that you can accomplish this. A quote from the class that I really liked was she said, "Art is a way that you can process what's going on, and therefore you take control of your own story." She gives 5 different prompts in the class, which would be perfect for your sketchbook or art journal. If you're looking for inspiration, the first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership. So with all that being said, let's just get into the video. To start an art journal, all you really need is an empty notebook. It can be a composition book, a notebook, a sketchbook, or even a real book. It's completely up to you. I used this sketchbook from Arteza. You'll also need some supplies to decorate your pages. These are just suggestions, and you definitely don't need all of these. I like to keep my art journal pretty simple. I use Crayola super tip markers and colored pens as my main writing utensils. This is also a great opportunity to use up things like paper scraps, washi tape, and stickers. I use plenty of recycled materials too, like magazine clippings and paper shopping bags. I also like to print things out to stick in my journal. Sometimes I'll use my normal printer, and other times I'll use my Memo or my HP PhotoSmart printers. The pages you include in your art journal will depend on what your goals for it is. Personally, my goals for this journal were to use up some of my excess craft supplies and to write down things that I want to remember. The main thing that I've been using this journal for is to plan projects. I don't know why, but it seems like during the winter I always get the urge to crochet something. And I was getting a bunch of these DIY Harry Styles cardigan videos on my For You page on TikTok, and I decided that that would be my crochet project this year. Which apparently this was a trend in July, but I totally missed that. And to be honest, I really don't have time for this, and I'll be really impressed if I finish it before the end of winter. But the pattern that I'm using actually doesn't look that hard. I'll link the pattern that I'm basing my cardigan on down below. I did change a couple things though, which is why it was helpful to plan it out in my journal. In the pattern, there are 3 types of squares, but I'm lazy, so I'm just using the same pattern for all of them. And the houndstooth square looked way too complicated, so I just got this multicolored yarn to use instead. I'm using different colors than the original, and I used a hook that was one size bigger than the pattern called for, since the pattern was made by someone who's 5'2" and I'm 5'7", so I wanted to make it a little bit longer, if that makes sense. This idea is actually something that you could use to fill up an entire notebook. You could take a picture of and write instructions for all the projects that you make during the year. It would be like your own little craft book. I think that would be a really cool thing to have to look back on. I ended up planning out where I wanted each square to go, so I know how many I need to make from each color. I also included a picture of the original cardigan and a QR code that links to the tutorial. I continued writing out the pattern on the next 2 pages and left some space at the bottom to add pictures when I finish. I wrote down when I started the project, and I put a space to put when I finish it. And here's how those pages turned out. This has been great to use as a reference. I've finished 4 squares so far, so, only 43 more to go. Let me know in the comments, do you know how to knit or crochet? I can do both, but I like crocheting better. I think it's a lot easier. Another fun way to fill your art journal is by making some film journal pages. After you finish watching a movie or TV show, you can create a spread about it in your journal. I just finished watching the new Babysitter's Club adaptation on Netflix. These were my favorite books growing up. I would always go to the thrift store with my grandma all the time, and I would always pick them up if I saw them. I'm still kind of mad that I never got to read them all though. To decorate the page, I used some ripped up paper and printed out some images from the show. I learned that apparently you can't take screenshots of anything on Netflix, if you try, it'll just show up as a black box. And I get why they did that, but Netflix, it was not that deep. I just wanted to save a picture of one of Claudia's outfits. Some things you could write about are the main cast, the release date, what rating you'd give it, a plot summary, and what you thought about it. I just wrote down notes on my phone while I was watching it, and I picked out a few to include. Basically, Claudia is still a fashion icon. I loved her Free People jacket. It's reversible. There's this website called wornontv.net, and it will tell you where different TV characters got their clothes. So that's how I knew where the jacket was from. And It was sold out everywhere, but I hunted it down, and I bought it, and I love it. Also, they threw the original Dawn, like, completely out the window, but I kind of liked what they did with her, actually. And I thought that Alicia Silverstone was a great choice as Christy's mom. I appreciated all the Clueless references that they threw in there. My only, like, minor complaint is that Karen doesn't have her glasses, which, like, neither does Mallory. And obviously they changed the plot, like, quite a bit, but they added in, like, so many more minor details like that, like Christy in the director's chair with the red visor and everything. Like, it just seems weird that they'd leave that out because that was, like, a big part of the books. I added some quotes from the show as well. And another thing that you can add if you're doing an older show or movie is any, like, fun facts that you can find about, like, the filming or anything like that. You can also find the soundtrack to a lot of different shows and movies on Spotify. I printed out a Spotify code to put at the bottom. This is another idea that you could use to fill up an entire notebook. If you look up Film Journal on TikTok, you can find a ton of inspiration. So here's how the finished page turned out. Leave me your TV or movie recommendations down below. The third thing I like to include in my art journal is recipes. Especially with the holidays coming up, I've been helping my mom with a lot of baking, and this is a great way to document what you make. I usually don't get this fancy with it. Normally I just take a picture of the recipe and paste it in, but since this was for a video, I decided to make it a little fancier. Over the weekend, I made oatmeal cookies. I drew out all the ingredients on a separate sheet of paper and lined them with my Ohuhu fine liners. I colored everything in with my Ohuhu brush markers and added details with a white gel pen. And I was almost done, but Millie decided that she needed to help me. This girl has been getting into all sorts of trouble lately. I guess she's just, like, learned that if she climbs up here, she'll get my attention. I mean, love her, but girl, get down. I drew a picture of the finished cookies and wrote out the recipe on another sheet of paper. To put everything together, I glued a piece of tan construction paper to the background. I glued the recipe to the center of the page and surrounded it with my drawings. Something that I like to do is use an old magazine to catch any extra glue when I'm sticking things on like this. Whenever the page gets too gross, I just rip it off and use the page behind it. So here's how the finished page turned out. Again, this is another idea that you could use to fill an entire notebook. You could illustrate your favorite recipes, or add one in each time you make something new. One of the easiest ways to fill up your sketchbook or art journal is by designing a page around an inspirational quote. You could pick something that relates to whatever you're going through at the time, or just something that you like. I cut a pink piece of paper with those wavy scissors for the quote. I'm always looking for a chance to use up my paper scraps, so I ripped up a paper bag and some book pages for the background. I honestly don't have the best handwriting, but I just purchased this sticker book from Amazon. It was $8 on Prime Day, and I think it would make a really great gift for any, like, crafty people in your life. This book is filled with all sorts of vintage-inspired stickers, including some letter stickers in the back. I chose the quote, "Done is better than perfect." I forget where I first saw this, but it really resonated with me. I tend to get caught up in the little details of a project, and I'll keep making changes because I think that it could be better. But the problem with that is that things could always be better, and then, it just makes it really difficult to finish anything. Anyways, I don't know if that, really made sense, but here is how the finished page turned out. The last way I like to fill out my art journals is by making a wish list. I feel like this is perfect timing with Christmas coming up. And let me tell you, I really struggled to think of anything that I wanted because I really don't need anything. So this year, my list includes some new Doc Martens because the ones that I have are super busted up. I got these maybe 5 years ago, maybe more, I don't know. I wore them to work every day for 3 years and they have been through a lot. I had to duct tape the tongue back on because it ripped and they have a few holes in them. And the reason that I haven't gotten new ones is because they're popular now, so now they're more expensive, which is kind of annoying. I also asked for a pair of Birkenstocks because they sell them at Cabela's, and my parents have one of those credit cards that's whenever you spend money, you get points to spend at Cabela's. Then I put crew socks to kind of go with the boots. I bought a swing to put in my room 3 years ago, and I never got it put up, so I asked for a kit to help hang it. And I also put these folding shelf brackets on there because I thought it would be cool to make a folding table for an extra work surface in my craft room. The last 3 things on the list are a sewing machine cover, some new pillows because the ones that I have right now are gross, and season 6 of The Nanny on DVD since I have all the other seasons. I love having stuff like this to look back on to see what you were interested in during a particular year. If you're watching this video not around Christmas, or if you don't celebrate it, you could do a page of things that you want to save up for, or do a page about what you'd buy if you won the lottery or something. Let me know what's on your Christmas list. So that was everything for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, the first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like this one. My merch, my website, and all of my social media will be linked down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye!